Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Ray Amanat Show. Of course, I am your host, Ray Amanat, and we are here live today. I got a special guest that we'll be introducing in a little bit, but I got to take care of some things first. So, again, if you want to get a hold of me, if you have any comments or questions, you could always go to info at theRayAmanatShow.com for more information about who we are, what we do, and all the networks that we're on. We would love to thank the OBBM network for bringing us on their programming. I got to get to them, okay, for bringing us on their programming as part of the OBBM network and Traverse TV based out of Florida. As our host site, you can see the OBBM network on Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And here's a little bit about OBBM.
Entertainment expands your horizons, takes you on fantastic adventures, challenges your skills. Independent media never looked so good. Welcome to a new sphere of influence. Our words mean business. Traditional families are honored, and the American flag still flies.
So if you'd like to learn more about the OBBM network, go to obbmnetwork.tv so you can download it on your Roku or look at all of the other podcast shows that they have. We are a conservative talk show, and they are a freedom-loving podcast show that has a whole bunch of news podcasts and other speakers that come on, specifically talking about our country and our freedoms. Thank you again to OBBM. Let's get to the program where I introduce Mr. Tom Patire. Welcome, Tom. This is my I'm Just Saying segment where we're going to talk a lot about what's been going on in the news cycle for the last 4 or 5 days with President Trump. So, can you let everyone know, all of our viewers and listeners, a little bit about your background history? I know you and I go way back, probably 15, 20 years or more. I've extensively worked with you and trained with you. You as my mentor for probably 7 to 8 years under the CDT and ITC trademarks. Let our viewers know a little bit about who you are.
Well, in life, everybody looks to do what they love. I realized at an early life I was born to bodyguard. So I started my career in my early 20s. I did a lot of international and national work, only to come back, in the 90s and open my own company called State of the Art Security with a different way of doing what I call the private protector. That enhanced by schools that you attended, like ITC and ITG, and also CDT, which is de-escalation system. But my whole life, I've been bodyguarding. So from when I was 21 years old, I did my first protection detail right up until now, my 60s, I'm still working it.
Now, you've pretty much been a bodyguard for a whole slew of celebrities. And that's going to different venues, going to hotels, going to actual stadiums. Can you give people a little insight of what that is like? And with you being, I guess, the head of the company, the responsibilities that you have, and then we can kind of compare that to the Secret Service and all the onion layers that they have with communicating with venue security, local law enforcement, and all the other law enforcement departments that were there to keep that venue safe.
So the big thing people have to realize, when you're in private security, you get limited manpower. So you got to make 4 people look like 40 people, in the aspect of going to big venues. Like I've done things at the Super Bowls and major concerts and things like that. When you have controversial people, some of them that I've worked for, you have to perform a protective veil. Law enforcement doesn't enhance it. We are not Secret Service. We do not have those laws, so we're really more anal, and we pay attention to detail much more, on what we do with a client. So the whole thing that we do, I like to use the word different, is our protective veil around our protectee or our client. It's much more different and much more enhanced because it has to make the people that are looking with intent to do harm to think this is the wrong group to go against. Unlike what goes on with Secret Service, they could have several hundred people working a venue. They could have months to prepare. We sometimes get hours or days, much, much different. So the private protector is on their game in a different aspect than the Secret Service or law enforcement because the laws are not in our favor.
Wow. That's a lot to process. Can
Yes.
you, the media talks about the advanced team. Now, I'm aware of what it is because of my training with you. But could you explain the different roles that people play with regards to setting up the perimeter and security, and what is the actual role for the advanced team?
Okay, so the advance team has to troubleshoot everything prior. They got to lay this whole thing out, not only on paper, but they have to go to the venue and they have to, in essence, become the bad guy. They have to become the shooter and look at this through the criminal eye to say, okay, what are the vulnerability spots if we go here? What are the accessible spots? How do we form, as I said before, that protective veil to keep the client, safe? So in doing so, they have to look at it from all different views. They have to look at it from eyesight. They have to look at it from low to high, and they have to look at it from high to low. They also have to look through obstacles, around obstacles, on obstacles. So the advanced team is the knowledge that goes into the preparation of what the detail is going to be based on. So if you miss something in advance work, you're going to open up a situation where your protectee is going to be targeted. And if there's a shooter or somebody with explosives or they drive a vehicle in, they're most vulnerable to get the target.
Right. So they're also responsible for all the different highways, roadways. Where's the construction on? Where's the nearest hospitals and everything else in case something, God forbid, should happen? They can take care of that immediately.
Yes, but they do that in layers. So taking the Secret Service detail, of course, they'll do the cover and evacuation with the protectee, as you saw with President Trump. They'll enhance their detail because remember, he's a former president, not a current president, so he gets less protection than President Biden. So what do? You enhance it with law enforcement. You say, okay, you covered these roads. I mean, many years ago, the Secret Service was doing a big venue, and they enhanced their groups with using some private security. I was one of those guys. I was asked to watch a manhole cover because it was New York City and they didn't want anybody going in and out of the manhole cover. So that's how thorough it is for a president. So not only did they use their team, which is probably 80 plus strong, they used all of New York City PD and everybody around them. They used enhancements like guys on our level, which was unique. So in looking at the roads, the highways, the surrounding, there's layers. Secret Service had layer 1 and 2. That's the stage and the surrounding area. Layer 3, they have people in there, maybe floaters, things like that, spotters. They have their perimeters with, they probably had 2 sniper teams on the president day, and there was enhanced sniper teams that was SWAT and whoever. But outside of that, outside of everybody they screened, is a new layer, and that becomes who they assign it to. In this case, there's a lot of mudslinging, and they're saying it was law enforcement's problem. Law enforcement say, hey, we told you it's your problem. But essentially, Ray, it comes down to who did the advance work.
So, are you surprised that there wasn't any drones used? Are you surprised at the breakdown of communication? You're always hearing in commercials. Even I say it in all of my seminars. If you see something, say something. Well, there were civilians that were saying, "There's a shooter on the roof. There's somebody on the roof," and nobody took it serious. And I get the feeling the ball was dropped.
Well, were drones used? I don't know if they were and weren't. They usually are used a lot in advance to take a good aerial of everything. I just recently saw a chief being interviewed, and he said that one of his guys was alerted. He went up by the back of the building, began to climb up, saw the shooter. Now, I don't know if the shooter pitched to him or whatever, but slipped and fell, right
Well,
after.
he was being kind of boosted up by another police officer, and he was holding on to the edge of the roof, so he wasn't
He
able
couldn't
to
get to his
access
weapon. Right.
his gun or anything. And the shooter on the roof pointed the rifle at him, and he just let go and fell backwards.
Right.
Um,
So again, right now they're verifying, but let's just say all that. If you do that, you saw him already.
right.
From the time that happened to the shots was a few seconds, according to this interview.
So there was no call to, hey, let's hold off on bringing President Trump on stage. That's a mistake right there.
I
Or
can't
that's a
verify.
that's a breakdown in
Yeah.
communication.
Okay.
If they saw it, they radioed it in. It should have been somebody should have been saying, "Hey, President Trump, don't go on stage until we investigate this and make sure everything is safe."
Right. So we talked advance work, which is first part of preparation. You just said the magic word, which is second, communication. Now, if you go back to 9/11, why did 9/11 happen? And I know that's a sore spot for a lot of us, but it's lack of communication. Sometimes people assume, like Secret Service, and by the way, they are good at their job. I know people are mudslinging now, but they may expect law enforcement to understand the mind of a protectee, to do a protection detail. I was never a police officer, so you can't tell me I know how to arrest somebody. But I don't like when law enforcement tells me, well, because they're cops, like a bodyguard. It's two different worlds. So if you tell somebody to watch A and you waited your whole life to see the president, it is human nature to look toward the stage once in a while. So we're all eyes on the president at this time and not on the assignments. Who knows? But when you look line of sight, all right, I have all the layouts. I have friends that are inside the Secret Service world. Line of sight, you see that roof, and I'm not buying about the pitch,
Right.
it's too
Right.
dangerous and we put people inside. That's just fluff, because when we've done certain jobs for certain dignitaries, we use cherry pickers, those things that go up, or you put things off of Christmas lights or cut trees down.
Right.
It costs $500 to rent. So you can't tell me you couldn't put a cherry picker as a perch for a sniper up there. I don't buy it. So.
Well, let me get to a quick commercial break,
Sure.
and then we'll come back with Tom Patire.
Defenders Gateway. We have created an amazing program to drive business to your door. Defenders Gateway app is the most unique way to honor and support our active military, veterans, active retired first responders, Gold Star, and fallen first responder families. Our goal at Defenders Gateway is to create a national network of businesses, Gateway partners, that offer honorary discounts to defenders. Our exclusive vetting process validates the defenders before they can use the app. No more stolen honor. We provide a seamless method of displaying discounts offered while directing defenders to your door. The Defenders Virtual ID presents a picture, current time and date, your store number or store picture, and the agreed location discount. Defenders Gateway is a unique and cost-effective program. Defenders Gateway.
So, those of you that are interested in learning more about Defenders Gateway, if you're a business and you would like to offer goods or services at a discount for first responders, retired, veteran, or active duty military, give Defenders a Gateway. Go to their email or their website, should I say, at defenders-gateway.com. If you're a first responder veteran or active duty military, download their free app at defenders-gateway.com and start taking advantages of all the goods and services that come to you at a discount price. Thank you, Defenders Gateway, for everything that you guys do for our first responders and military. Okay, back to Mr. Tom Patire. Um, so Kim Cheadle, they're asking for her to resign. She totally dodged a whole bunch of senators asking her questions at the Republican convention. She's supposed to be in front of the Senate hearing, I believe, on Monday to answer everyone's questions. What are your thoughts on what she should do in her position? Nobody has been fired under the Biden administration for Afghanistan, and now this. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when she was first hired, and because I know a lot of people on high level Secret Service, I didn't think she was the pick for whatever reason. I don't think she has the qualifications to run a mega agency like that, and doesn't have the seasoning that I believe, and this is only my opinion. And there were many, many other people that could have gotten that position, but are not political. So they were not going to get it. So, should she pay the price? Well, if they do a full investigation and they find out the check and balance was wrong, they did drop the ball. We almost lost a former president, of course, because in any agency or company, if one of my guys do something wrong, I'm the owner of that company. They come to me. So I have to correct it. In the private sector, correction could be reimbursing a whole contract or firing that person for never being, to do that detail again. In this case, the whole world's going to see what they're going to do. But you're right in what you said. It'd be smart if she stepped down, in my opinion, if the facts match what's said. If you find out, okay, here was our advance plan, here was our check and balance, here was our communication grill or whatever, and it all matches up, and it was a slight error on somebody in law enforcement not doing their job, that's different. But I don't think it's going to turn out that way.
Okay, so let's get some information about you a little bit more. I appreciate you coming on and talking with us. Um, can you talk to everybody a little bit about Training for Life and CDT? And those of you that are interested in learning more about Tom Patire, all things Tom Patire, you can go to tompatire.com, his website, and go.
Well, listen, you're out there, Ray. You're doing things. You found your niche. I decided to concentrate on, for mainstream, two different sectors: the Training for Life in empowering, teens from adult women on really learning, what street savvy is about and how to avoid confrontation, and if so, self-escape mechanisms. People don't have the time at certain ages to take martial arts like we do. We certainly have paid the prices in all of our injuries of what we've done.
You got that right.
So I educate them and empower them and hopefully scare them smart. Now, CDT became the #1 program in the world, or system, I should say, on de-escalation. There's so many facets to it, on verbal, on readability, on positioning, and on soft-handed techniques. Big concentration in major America, like I trained Verizon teams, Facebook, Google, Microsoft. I had trained all their teams, but I concentrate in hospitals, school districts. And again, it's not anything to do with martial arts. It's how to talk to somebody, how to de-escalate, how to keep yourself out of the personal space window. And if need be, have a response team that could apply these, liability conscious techniques. So as I've grown the systems, those two things keep me the busiest. I still run a Bodyguard or 2 courses a year because it's my life. I love teaching those 7-day courses, which you attended at.
I'm still waiting on the reunion.
Yeah, and that's that. You know what? We have such a good turnout. I'm just trying to find the most cost-effective space because I'm not going to charge anybody for it. but I want the hotels to be cheaper and, things like that. Cause everybody, it's a tough economy right now. We all know
Right.
that.
Yeah. So let me wrap things up. Of course, everybody, this is my logo for the Ray Amanat Show. Wake the cluck up, America. Do your own homework, do your own research, find out who the best candidates are. It's not just about the presidential race, it's about your senators, it's about your congressmen, it's about your governors, your mayors, your aldermen, everyone down that ticket. Do your research, be an informed voter, get out there and vote with your heart, vote with your pocketbook, but most of all, vote as somebody that is informed about whoever's representing you, and they're going to do the right things to keep your communities and our country safe. Now, my map is a little bit smaller than your map. I'm trying to do a 50 state tour myself as far as doing self defense programs across the country. Everything in red is states that I've already been to and presented at. I'm trying to hit all the gray areas. I'm sure you probably got all 50 states already.
Actually, the only state I never been to is Hawaii. That's it.
Well, hopefully you and I can both go to Hawaii together. And
Great, Ray. That's congratulations on that. Very good.
yeah, I mean, I'm trying, but it's, my model, I've actually followed your advice. I'm dissolving the nonprofit and going the for-profit route. And that's a discussion to have on another day
Sure.
as far as sustainability, being able to pay the bills and things like that. So more on that later on in a future broadcast. Those of you that are interested in Ray Amanat Show merchandise, t-shirts, mugs, playing cards, everything else, just scan the QR code and get you some merch. Ray Amanat merch that, Clucky the Chicken and everything else that has to do with our show. And as always, I close out the show. If you know of somebody that's dealing with any type of domestic violence, please educate them, help them get the right kind of help. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Don't wait for something bad to happen and then the news media post this phone number for everyone to see. I post these numbers up every time in case you're going through something difficult. So if you're dealing with domestic violence, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. If you're dealing with suicide, whether you're a veteran or somebody that's a broken relationship, lost their job, lost your home or anything, don't hurt yourself. There are people out there that love you, that care about you, and that are willing to help you get the right kind of help. You can call the Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-TALK. And then, as always, if you do see something and you want to say something, but you want to be anonymous about it, you can call Crime Stoppers USA at 1-800-222-TIPS. That is our show for now. Tom Patire, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Let's close this out with our jingle.
Welcome to the Ray Amanat Show. Wake the clock up,